Hey everybody, we're here with Katie.
Hi.
Hi. All right, let me go ahead and turn off our amazing countdown clock that I have going in the corner. And then my 4-year-old decided to jump in. I don't know if everybody heard her. She was just checking in to see if I needed anything. The best kid ever. So let's get started. Hey everybody, it's Johanna jumping into Project Broadcast per usual, but we kind of have an awesome opportunity today with Katie. I'm going to send everybody her Instagram link really quick in the comments so you guys can jump over and follow her on Instagram if you want. We're going to talk about social selling tips today. And if you are not already prepping for Black Friday, you're a little bit behind the power curve. Walmart already started dropping their stuff. Target already started dropping their stuff. Like, it's just crazy. And it's not crazy. It's actually normal now. So I just really want us to focus on some really usable social selling tips. So I'm going to have Katie introduce herself and explain why she's here today, and we're going to get started. So Katie, floor is yours. And if I interrupt a couple times, it's because I'm either going to hype you up or I want to dive further into a question.
Yeah, please.
So I'm pumped.
Yes. All right. So my name is Katie Tarr. I have been a network marketer for about 6 years. I work with Norwex, and I have been using Project Broadcast for 5 of those years. I actually, it was one of those things where I got it and I was so intimidated to get started. And then once I got started, I was like, why did I not use this from the very beginning? So love Project Broadcast. You guys are great. But we were talking, and one of my passions is social selling. And there's a couple reasons why I really love social selling. My business didn't start out that way, but, since the pandemic, it kind of shifted. And, I love social selling because that's where people are. Like, that's where my audience is. That's where my people are. And I'm a busy mom, and I have 2 kids, and we're on the go a lot. So I just love that I can work my business wherever and still grow my business and connect with people that way. And then, the whole point, if we're talking about network marketing here for a minute, because I think most people who use Project Broadcast are, but maybe not, maybe other businesses too, this applies to, but like the whole point is that I want to be able to have an impact. I'm just one person. I want to have an impact on many, right? But I want to do it in a personalized way. And so that's what I love about social selling, is that it is all me. Like, it's all me. I'm the brand. I'm 100%
you all the time.
Yeah, it's me, but like, I like that because I don't know. I can do that in that way. And I just wasn't, it just wasn't, not that you can't do that in person, you can, but I just really love the ability to do it while I'm living my life. And I love that I can put out a piece of content or make a story or put out a text campaign or whatever, and it can work for me for as little as 24 hours, or it can work up, a post or a reel can last for weeks, and people can see that, and it kind of goes to work for me while I go and live my life. And the last thing why I love it is it just creates so many personal connections with people that I would have not ever met, like we would have never met if it wasn't for social media. So, and, other people that I kind of have connected with as well. So that's why I love it. And I'm here to just give you my like top 5 tips, I guess, on if you're kind of interested in kind of branching into the social selling industry, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. And I think my number 1 tip, so I have 5 tips. I'll tell you them, and then I'll go back and I'll kind of go through them just in case you can't watch the whole thing, but make sure to watch the replay. Number 1 would be to build a personal brand. Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Know who you're talking to. So know your audience. That's number 2. And also not only know your audience, but also know their pain points. Like,
I love that one.
Yeah. And then number 3 is your content is everything. Okay. Your content is everything. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to come up with content, what kind of content do you need to be posting? What do you do if you struggle with figuring out content? And then number 4 is everything should be centered around conversations. Okay, number 4 would be conversations. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then number 5 is just, be social on social media. You can't just kind of
Be
post and
social
go.
on social media. But you would really be surprised how many people are not social on social media.
No, they kind of just post and ghost. And so, yeah. So,
already dropped 2 amazing themes. Be social on social media and don't post and ghost. That's going to be the name of this. Do not post and ghost. Oh my God.
don't post and ghost.
This is perfect.
So talking a little bit about, building a personal brand, that kind of sounds intimidating, right? Especially if you're just starting, you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then, everyone else is talking about niching down in your content, picking one specific thing to talk about. And that can be kind of stressful too. So, I'm not like I'm not like a social selling guru, but I've learned a lot from the gurus. I can say that. And, I've learned a lot over the last few years. And what I've realized is that it does really help to kind of figure out your brand is basically what you're going to, kind of the theme of your, let's for the sake of simplicity, let's just say Instagram account or whatever. Okay. Your Instagram account, you kind of need to have like a theme of what you're going to talk about in your feed. Okay. So in your actual feed. So for me, I work for Norwex. I also have multiple sclerosis. I'm a big advocate for healing for MS. I connect with a lot of people that way. I'm just a big proponent for non-toxic living. That's kind of my brand. And so if it doesn't kind of pertain to that, with some exceptions, I'll throw in my family and throw in some personal things here and there. But if it doesn't kind of fit in those categories, then that's not going to go on my feed.
You're not going to out of nowhere start posting something about Ninja Turtles or the color orange. You're not going to be like, I watched this great show today. It would have something to do with those things that encompass your life.
Yeah, well, and and I do post random things. However, I just feel like all the random life needs to go in the stories. That's where
Ooh.
The stories is like your personal reality show.
I love it. Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, it's like your personal reality show and people love it. I love it. I don't know about you, but I always tell people kind of figure out who you really love to follow and why you love to follow them and kind of look at it in the perspective of what are they doing that I really enjoy? Why do I keep coming back to their page? Why do I keep coming back and kind of almost, use accounts that maybe talk about the same, if, for example, if I'm talking about non-toxic living, I might follow hashtag non-toxic living or whatever, find some other people who are doing it really well. And not that you don't ever want to copy content, but you can use them as inspiration, right? Just until you get your feet wet and stuff. So
I love that.
Yeah, so that's a big thing. And just what else did I have? Use kind of, if you are I have no idea what my theme would be, kind of think about what do your friends come to you for? What do your friends come to you for advice on? What is your thing? And it could be something completely separate from what you sell. You could be the pro, you knit these amazing quilts or whatever, and you want to talk all about it. Or it could be you have a whole page about sourdough bread, which a lot of people do, but just an example. And they don't sell anything that pertains to sourdough bread. I know a girl, Jackie Richards, I don't know her personally, but I follow her and she sells makeup. And she does a lot of lives where she's not talking about makeup at all. She's talking about some funny story that happened at the mall or something, at the grocery store, and she's putting on her makeup. So she's building that kind of personal brand, and people always ask you about things, that you're not talking about. Hey, where'd you get that picture frame in the background? Or where'd you get your... So just be kind of thinking about that. But what do you love to talk about? And it has to be something that you really love to talk about, or else it's going to feel like a chore.
Yeah.
And we don't want social media to feel like a chore.
I love.
Yeah. And then number 2 would be know your audience. Who are you talking to? And that makes it much easier to figure out kind of your personal brand, your content, if you know who you're talking to. And so what does that mean? That means like, who is my ideal like avatar person, I guess, that you might want to sell your product or service to. So for me, and there's a hint that I've learned over time is that your ideal person is most likely you. Like it's most likely someone just like you.
Yep.
And so I'm speaking to the busy, 40-year-old mom who might just be sick of her 9 to 5. She's confused about how to get rid of products. She's got way too much on her plate. She doesn't know where to begin with non-toxic living. That's kind of my. And so, and then the other thing, and that's something new that just kind of something I've recently started using is Chat GPT. And yeah, so you can use Chat GPT and you can say like, this is who my ideal person is. And then say, what are the pain points for a 40-year-old busy mom who's looking to get rid of toxic products?
I love that. That's such a good way to create content or think or get yourself started.
Yeah, it's such a good way to get yourself started on, okay, what are the pain points? For example, like I said, they might not even know where to get started. And so you might then turn around, and which leads us to tip number 3, which is content. You might turn around and be like, content, what am I even going to put out there? It's like, well, use that pain point, because you always need to be speaking to those pain points of your audience. And so make a reel about my top 5 tips if I was just getting started, detoxing my home, or whatever, my top 5 tips if I to boost my confidence or whatever, if you sell makeup or whatever it is, and the rule of thumb for me when it comes to content as well is just I guess the biggest shift that I've seen in my business is that if I look back to my social media pre-pandemic kind of and where it is now, I just think that the industry's changed a little bit. And I think that you have to lead with problems first. If you are leading with products and you go to your social media and someone within 0.8 seconds can tell what company you work for, and they see some corporate graphics and some Black Friday flash sale flyers, like that's another thing that I just don't do.
Let's go. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, but that's that kind of stuff. Like don't do that, because it doesn't add your personal touch, and it also doesn't speak to the problem that your products solve. I'm sure everyone's products solve some sort of problem. And so kind of the rule of thumb that I always use is, before I post something, wherever it is, whether it's a reel, in my stories, a post, is like, is this post meant to educate, meant to entertain, or is it meant to inspire? Like those 3 things. If it doesn't do those 3 things, then I have to rethink about whether or not I want to post it.
I like that, because you're being respectful of your time. Like, yeah, you may want to post about something, but you have to be cognizant as a business owner of, is it one of these 3 things? Because my goal is to get this action or behavior from this person. And if I'm not leading with that pain point, then you're not identifying with that woman out there that is you, but in somebody else's body, that you're trying to prospect or you're trying to help, like that solution for that pain point. So I love the intentional.
Well, yeah, and your Black Friday sale might be amazing, but if you lead with that, you're automatically going to trigger sales resistance, and they're going to be like, oh, this is the only reason why she's posting this. Rather, if you talk about the products that are in the flash sale and maybe get on your live or show how they've actually, show how they actually solve a problem that you have, and tell a story. Stories will sell you can't just tell the facts and features about the product. It's the stories that are really going to sell the products. And so, yeah, with Black Friday coming up, find out what products are in there and start talking about them in a way that you're just sharing how they solve your problems.
I
And
love
don't make a pitch yet, don't make a pitch yet. Get that conversation started. And that leads me to tip number 4, which is conversations. Every piece of content should be driving a conversation.
I like it.
So if you let's say you sell mascara, you sell makeup, and you talk about how your mascara is the only mascara that you can use that doesn't give you a sty in your eye or whatever, that's a problem that many people have. So talk about that. And then when somebody said, and then you can ask, what mascara do you use? And you're engaging conversation. So when someone sends you a message and says, I use Maybelline or whatever, but I'm just like, it's not my favorite. And then you can offer the Black Friday sale.
I like that though. I like the idea of being like, this is what works for me. Like I size my eyes and it's really uncomfortable and painful and they last for like a week and what I found works for me because I still want to wear mascara is this works for me. And that way somebody can be like, oh, she has the same issue as me. I identify with that. I wonder if that would work for me as well. And so it's not coming at them with the Black Friday sale, like you said. Bobby Coleman just asked, post about products should educate, not advertise. And it's a question. Yeah. And it's true. Same with this interaction. Your goal is to interact and engage and provide value and education. And then you can circle back around with that promo or that sale. Because if you just keep going at people with promos and sales, they're just going to keep swiping and archiving and not caring because you're just a transaction to them. So I love that. I love that.
You really need to lead with the problems or the transformation that you had from using the products instead of posting all about the products. And also just make sure that I always am like, what can I teach my audience today? And that's where my content comes from. Or if I'm in a silly mood, I might make a funny reel. Like that's just, it depends. But also having a plan for your content is also really amazing. And there is a third party kind of company that I use, and it's called the Social Studio. I'll plug them. But if you're somebody, if the Social Studio, if you look them up, if you're on, they will provide like niche content. So if you're in the wellness space, if you're in hair and makeup, or you're in non-toxic living or whatever. And so they'll give you posts and ideas so that you can plan your content and so that you're not so stressed out. So definitely that's one of my favorite things that I use to spark ideas and to make your, to help with branding and make your feed look very beautiful as well.
I do like that.
But yeah, conversations, like you're always going to want to drive conversations and use those call to actions, not in every post, because you don't want to make people feel like you're always trying to sell to them, but call to actions like, what is your, like I said, ask for recommendations. What is your favorite thing? And just be getting social. Like you have to go and engage on other people's content as well. That's another thing. Like when we said, don't post and ghost, like a lot of times we're just like, okay, I've posted for today. I'm out. Now I'm going to, going to the ball game.
Gonna go watch TV.
It's like, no, you have to then, and algorithms have shown that really improves your visibility as well, because when you interact with your ideal kind of prospects right after you post something, just for a few minutes or whatever, it helps your visibility. So not only is it helping you build relationships and actually be personal with people, and you don't want to be fake about commenting on other people's stuff. Like comment and make a genuine comment or start a conversation. I usually just go through my, I call this my lazy girl method. I'll show you.
I'm already interested. You had me at lazy girl.
My lazy girl method is just to go through and who's at the top, like who's in my stories.
Yeah. Right?
Who's in my stories, and I'm going to go watch their stories. And sometimes, you don't want to get lost in the scroll. Set a timer, 15 minutes, whatever. and go through and just start conversations. And I think that that is a big part of social selling is, like I said, just being social and having those conversations, because in those conversations, that's when you can, relate to people and share your stories. And basically your point of your conversation is to uncover the problem that they're having and ask a lot of questions so that they tell you their problem and you can provide the solution.
I think that one of the key points you just made was you ask questions. It's not just like the post. It's not just like stunning or awesome. It's, hey, where did you get that? Or, hey, I have the same issue. What did you find out about it? I feel like a lot of people or bots in general will go and you'll just see like 15 of your pictures liked and then like some random comment on the page. But if you're actually interacting, you're actually engaging, it's a completely different situation. And people see that. The community, consumers are not stupid. Like they know Facebook, they know YouTube, they know Instagram, they know what people are trying to do who are selling products. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are very paranoid. Like, oh my God, I just had somebody like 5 of my photos and then they dropped a comment about check out my sale here. Like they know what's happening. But if you're actually in their stories, commenting on something or asking them a question and it's actually engaging, you're going to have a much more realistic and normal like engagement style and reactions. So I love that you said that because that is huge.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things is if, like I said, I sell Norwex. So if I maybe make a post about non-toxic laundry and I'll say, comment laundry if you want to learn about this. When they comment laundry, you have to, that is an invitation to have a conversation. Now, many people make the mistake of just sending the link right away and like missing that conversation piece. And it's like, no, why don't you say, okay, here's the link. But by the way, what makes you interested in switching laundry detergents, or what has you interested in new makeup or new skincare or whatever you sell? And just having that conversation piece is so huge. And then, lastly is just get out of your head is my 5th tip. Like so many people could just be amazing at social selling and like all the stuff, but they're just too afraid to put their face out there. They're afraid to get on video. They're afraid. And it's a real thing. Like it's a mindset block, and it takes a lot of work, but what I can tell you is that practice does really improve this. And people, most of the time, the stories in our head are not even true of what we are afraid of, what people will think and all of that. So that's just my little point, though, is just like every single person in this world has value and has something to share that's valuable and that could teach other people. And so just get out there and be yourself so that you can find your people and then, build those relationships. And eventually the sales will come as long as you've had those relationships.
Be consistent in who you are. I can't say enough thank you. Some of the truth bombs you dropped that I feel like actually kind of made me stop for a second was specifically the one that you're like, when I give them a call to action, like drop the word laundry or an emoji or something, your initial response isn't necessarily just sending the link. Because honestly, that was my go-to. It's always like convert, because that was the point of my post. But I love that you took an extra step in the customer experience and you were just like, hey, I saw you drop the link or the comment, laundry. What's the worst part of this? Or what does your laundry detergent do currently now? And like, what are you looking for? Just even having that conversation shows that it's just not about the sale. It's about addressing a pain point, getting to know that person, and being able to give them the best service or product that you are trying to do. So if anybody takes anything away from this conversation today, I hope they take that little tidbit, because I know 95% of the people out there in direct sales and out of direct sales are guilty of that. So I think
and I think the same thing with Project Broadcast, I'll just say real quick, is just, when you're texting and you're doing a follow-up or something, you got to think about it. Like, you have to type and you have to interact on the internet like you would in person. So just imagine like if you were at the grocery store and you bumped into someone and you're like, hey, how's your daughter? How's this? How's volleyball going? Whatever. You would not then in the next breath say, hey, by the way, have you heard about my Black Friday sale? Black Friday's coming up and I got some real like amazing sales, blah, blah, blah. So don't do that via text or via, social media or whatever, because that's the problem today, is that everybody is out there trying to sell something and people are waiting for it. And the more that you hold off for making that offer, the more that you're going to be trusted. And so just, yeah, that would be
I love it. Oh no. I loved it. I think this was probably one of my favorite interviews. I'm not going to lie, because a lot of the stuff that you brought up, you also brought up actionable steps on it. And even just the truth bomb you just shared, where you were like, you're not in person going to treat a person the same way you do on text. It's obvious because confrontation is different. So don't be the guy that's like, how's your day going? Oh, by the way, because I would not necessarily do that in person. I would still build rapport. We would talk for a little bit. They would probably say something that would trigger me to think, it is socially acceptable and they are comfortable with the next step of the conversation, to be like,
right.
Oh yeah, I did see Walmart and Target have their circle deals. That's awesome. I plan to get X, Y, and Z. That gets you into that conversation. I absolutely appreciate this today. I love what you brought up, and your tips were phenomenal. So I hope everybody gets a chance to check out her content, even if it's just to see examples of what she was talking about. So follow her on Instagram. I'll make sure I post your Instagram handle also on our Facebook group. And do like she said, get out of your head, have a conversation, and be real. And I hope everybody has a great Friday. So thanks, Katie. I appreciate you being here today, ma'am.
Of course. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.